Good afternoon. Robert Gilman, a 32-year-old former United States Marine and teacher who has been held in Russia for 4 years on dubious charges, has been released, his advocate said earlier Tuesday. His release came a few days after he warned that he was seriously ill and at risk of dying. Gilman, who has been detained in Russia since 2022, is now en route to a U.S. military hospital in Texas, according to Eric Lebson, Chief Strategy Officer of Global Reach, the advocacy organization that has been working to free Gilman as well as other Americans who have been detained abroad. In a statement issued by the department said that the release was not part of an exchange and no other concessions were provided. The statement then added, calling Gilman's release a welcome step that we hope leads to the release of Americans unjustly detained in Russia, such as wrongful detainee Stephen Hubbard. The State Department said that Gilman had recently been determined to have been wrongfully detained and was released on humanitarian grounds. Russian attacks against targets in Ukraine overnight killed at least 10 civilians, Ukrainian officials said. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that Moscow is receiving more weapons from North Korea in order to extend its 4.5-year-long war. Zelensky said that Russian troops used ballistic missiles that had been supplied to them by North Korea in the overnight attacks, who are preparing to deploy more troops to Russia. North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has already deployed thousands of North Korean soldiers, along with a large supply of weapons, in support of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Zelensky also said that Russia is attempting to exploit Ukraine's critical shortage of Patriot missile interceptors, which has only gotten worse after American diplomacy failed to end the war, and the United States turned its attention to the Middle East and the war in Iran. Zelensky posted on X, saying, every step Russia takes, increasing ballistic missile production, bringing in North Korean equipment, preparing for mobilization, all of this shows that Moscow is preparing not for peace but for escalation. On Monday, President Trump signed an executive order in which he claimed childhood vaccines, such as the MMR vaccine, were quite lethal. The executive order called for fewer childhood vaccines in the United States and also demanded that the combined MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella shot be separated into 3 individual shots. During the signing ceremony in the Oval Office, President Trump said, quote, effective immediately, my administration is recognizing gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases, along with the MMR, which hopefully will be split up. Trump also repeatedly cited the frequently debunked claims that vaccines cause autism, at least in part. Trump said, there are some groups that have virtually no problem with autism. They are groups that aren't big into the world of vaccines, so there is something wrong. When pressed by a reporter to back up his claim that the MMR vaccine was quite lethal, Trump replied, what I've heard is that there are some people that say that it is that way. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network issued a statement condemning Trump's executive order. ASEN said in its statement, quote, vaccines are safe and effective. Researchers around the world have spent decades studying the safety of modern vaccines and vaccine schedules. The claim that vaccines cause autism originated with a fraudulent study that was retracted nearly 3 decades ago. Since then, study after study has shown that vaccines are safe and autism is related to genetics. Vaccines let autistic children live long enough to become autistic adults. The statement continued, autistic people need access to health care. We need Medicaid and home and community-based services. We need accessible housing, education, and employment. We need robust communication supports. We need research that helps us live healthy and fulfilling lives across the lifespan and in our communities. We need the government to protect our civil rights and make sure all of us, including autistic people with the highest support needs, can live in our communities with the services and supports we need to thrive. While the government spends time trying to prove something that has already been disproven, autistic people are still waiting for the support we actually need.